Good morning. It is 6:58 a.m. Really? Wow. On Monday, July 10th, 2017. I'm Christiana Ellis, and apparently I've been poking around on the internet for a while. This is 5 more minutes. Uh, so I saw Spider-Man Homecoming on Saturday, and I didn't talk about it yesterday because yesterday was Avatar: The Last Airbender rewatch. But today I will review Spider-Man Homecoming. I liked it a lot. It's definitely. I actually thought that there was a lot to like in the two more recent Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield. They have had their problems for sure, but I thought that there was a lot to enjoy in those. But I would say I think it's better than either of those. And I think that probably, at least on first viewing, my general just gut impression is that I would place it, uh, around Spider-Man 2, the Raimi version, in terms of my favorite of the Spider-Man movies. I think we'll have to let it steep for a little while, but there's some interesting stuff going on it. Generally, it's let's get one thing out of the way is that although I'm a big fan of Spider-Man and have been for years, I have always generally felt like his high school years are not primarily how I think of Spider-Man. And so the insistence to continually go back to his high school years and really spend a lot of time there kind of continues to be something that's I'm kind of less interested in that. So, like even the Raimi ones, like even though the first one starts in while he's in high school, it doesn't really hang out there very long. And maybe this is my bias because when I grew up reading Spider-Man comics, I was reading them mostly in the 90s, which meant that during that time, Spider-Man in the comics was, a grown up. And so that's kind of my still primary association with him. And I suppose from the perspective of storytelling in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, do you want to be telling a story about the beginning of Spider-Man's career or after he's been doing it for a while? And I can totally see how, for a variety of reasons, having it be in the beginning of his career makes sense. It makes sense also that the current stable of heroes that they've got does not really include any young people. So I I can see all the reasons why they would be doing high school Peter Parker, but it's still just kind of not my favorite iteration or time period in Peter Parker's life. But that's fine. Once we take that as a given, that that's the story they're telling, there's a lot to like here. One, they lift a character completely from the Miles Morales version of Spider-Man, which the character in those comics is named Genki, and they change it to Ned here. But otherwise, the character is identical. And it's kind of fascinating how directly that they just lift that character and transfer him over to Peter Parker instead of Miles Morales. But that said, I don't really object because it's a great character and he adds a lot to the movie. Being Peter Parker's best friend and someone that he's able to have as a confidant. One thing I'll definitely say is some of the trailers for this movie might have left you with the impression that you know all the twists and turns, like, the complaint that, oh, the trailers tell the whole story. And while I think that that's increasingly an issue with trailers, I will say that there's definitely stuff in this movie that you didn't see in the trailers. So you shouldn't feel like that's a reason not to see it. Just that, oh, well, you already know the whole story. There's definitely stuff you don't have already. I liked it a lot. Michael Keaton is great as the Vulture. And I was also pleased to discover that we introduce another Spider-Man Rogues List character that I won't get into. Actually, I think technically there's two, although he only fights one of them. Any case, it's I keep freezing up my brain this morning. I need more caffeine. The movie's very funny. There's a lot of humor just from Peter Parker being a funny character. And see, that's actually one of those things that I think the Amazing Spider-Man movies with Garfield, Andrew Garfield, did that was an improvement on the Tobey Maguire ones, was just having Spider-Man be funny, having all the little quips and everything. The Raimi movies delved a little deeper into the dramatic parts and less focus on being funny, but definitely this version of Spider-Man is very funny. And yet there's some serious stuff going on, and they did also certainly spend time on the commitments that Peter has with wanting to spend time as Spider-Man, but seeing the toll that it's taking on his, so-called normal life. And it's interesting. I guess I just really enjoy it. Boy, okay. I think part of the issue here, the reason I'm kind of struggling so much, is just that a lot of the stuff that I want to talk about, I'm trying to avoid talking about because of spoilers. That's the problem. That's the problem. So what I'll just sum up then is to say it's very good. I think it is a brave storytelling decision for them to deliberately avoid ever showing Spider-Man swinging from a skyscraper. Like that was just a creative decision. They decided to not ever have that. So to actually steer away from some of the most iconic imagery is a brave choice. The movie's very funny. It's exciting. I liked all the characters, especially Michael Keaton as the Vulture, and I'm forgetting the actor's name. I wrote it down yesterday and then didn't. I don't know. I could look it up. But the guy who plays Ned, Peter's best friend, is a highlight of the movie. He's a delight. And it's all good. I like it. I like the movie a lot, and I recommend it. Thumbs up. Yep, that'll do it. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for 5 more minutes.